أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله حق القدر ومقدار العظيم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Welcome once again, brothers and sisters in Islam. Today I would like to discuss with you the spiritual realization of the Muslim Ummah in the end of days. Why should I discuss such a topic, such a wonderful topic? I saw in the Holy Quran, Allah says in Surah Al-Qiyamah, and Surah Al-Qiyamah, if you want to see the vision of Yawm Al-Qiyamah, then you are required. The Prophet ﷺ has said, if you want to see the vision of Surah Al-Qiyamah, then you should recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Surah Al-Waqi'ah has a lot of significance and importance in the lives of the believer. Imam Jafar as-Sadiq, one of the descendants of the Holy Prophet, who happens to be an Imam in this time, he said Surah Al-Waqi'ah can push away poverty. If you recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah every day, it is even reported in the Sunan of the books of in the Sirah of Sayyidina Usman, when he visited one of his companions who was sick, and he asked that companion that if he needs any financial assistance, he will help him, and the companion replied to him that he has already ordered his family to recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah every day. And so that was Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Yes, the name of the Sahaba, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. He said he has ordered his family to recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah every day. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever recites Surah Al-Waqi'ah every day, Allah will push away poverty from him. And there's even a prayer if you want Allah to push away your poverty. The Prophet said, whoever recites this prayer every day, Allah will protect him from poverty. He says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa sallallahu ala nabi al-Karim, Allahumma rabbi, inni a'udhu bika min al-faqri wal-killati wal-zillat, wa a'udhu bika rabbi ana azlim aw uzlim. Or you can also say, Allahumma rabbi gfirli wa wassani fi dari wa barik li fi rizki. That is the prayers of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, back to our discussion. The spiritual realization of the Muslim Ummah in the end of days. If you look at Surah Al-Qiyamah, there are three stages, three verses that explain this spiritual realization of the Muslim Ummah. And that verse it started with the harful fa'un, which means something that is definitely going to happen. It has been ordained by Allah that a time will come that this spiritual realization will come to the Muslim Ummah. And then the Quran has brought the news. If you can remember, the Quran itself is a book of glad tidings. Wa hudan wa bushra lil muslimin. And so Allah said, فَإِذَا بَرِكَ الْبَصَرُ. That time, a particular time, only Allah knows that time. When that time comes, the vision of every believer is going to be illuminated. A lot of veils that is covering us today from seeing the truth, such veils are going to be lifted on a general ground, not specific or individual grounds. No, the state of the Ummah, spiritually, this Ummah is going to be elevated to that level whereby you can see what you were not able to see before. Because that is the era that Prophet Isa ﷺ is going to descend among us. And we are going to see him. The Prophet said, we shall see him descending from the heavens on the wings of two angels. It is in the Sunan of Abu Dawud. So if you can see even the angels that are holding Nabi Isa ﷺ, which means that spiritual veil has been lifted of this Ummah. So that time will come. Fa'iza barikal basar, when the visions has been illuminated. Barika means sparkling. You know, when there is thunder, there is lightning. So lighting, that is spiritual enlightenment. When the visions of the believer is enlightened. That is what this verse of the Quran is saying. And that is why the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, when you see Dajjal, you know, the same era that Isa alayhi salam is going to descend, that will be the era of Al-Masih Dajjal. So when you see Dajjal, Dajjal is the greatest fitna entire mankind will ever see. From the time of Adam till the end of days, there will be no fitna that will be worse than Dajjal. So when such a fitna is around, Allah will prepare the ummah in such a way that we can curtail this fitna so that our iman we are going to succeed with our iman. The ones that will succeed the fitna of Dajjal, may Allah make us among them. May Allah make us among those that will pass the test of Dajjal, so that we will be among the greatest of the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ in the end of days. Those ones that will see and will be able to recognize Dajjal, the Prophet has described them in the Sunan of Abu Dawud and Tirmizi. The Prophet said, every believer that sees Dajjal will be able to read on his forehead the word kafir, indicating that Dajjal, Al-Masihud Dajjal, is a kafir, but is going to be a disguised kafir. But since this believer has already been illuminated spiritually by Allah, he will be able to see the word kafir on the face of Dajjal. That is when the Quran is telling us, فَإِذَا بَرِكَ الْبَصَرُ وَخَسَفَ الْقَمَرُ, and the moon is going to be eclipsed. If you look at this verse of the Holy Quran at a literal level, it means eclipse of the moon, which is also correct. But if you look at it at a strategic level, a more detailed level, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq described the Quran as a book of 7 layers of understanding. The first layer is the esoteric knowledge. The hidden part of the Quran is the exoteric knowledge of the Quran, which is the hidden meaning. You cannot understand that aspect only if Allah blesses you with the interpretation. So when the moon is going to be eclipsed, what does that mean? What is the moon? And what does that mean? When Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam said he saw the sun and the moon and 11 stars bowing before him, does that mean that this sun that we're seeing and the moon will come down and 12 stars will come down to bow before him? Or what is the interpretation in the Quran? This is the interpretation of the Holy Quran by the Quran. Ta'wilul Quran bil Quran. This is not the tafsir. No, this is ta'wil. Because the surah to Yusuf, Prophet Yusuf declared in surah to Yusuf, say, Haza ta'wilu ru'yaya min qabl. This is the interpretation of my vision that I saw when I was young. So what was that sun and what was that moon? It means his father, who is the leader of all prophets, the mother, who is the mother, and the 11th, that his brothers, his 11 brothers, they bowed before him. That was his interpretation. Now the Quran is telling us that the moon is going to fall, eclipsed. The moon is going to be eclipsed. وَخَسَفَ الْقَمَرُ. How would the moon eclipsed? And how do we interpret this verse of the Holy Quran? If you look at the books of Ibn Sirin, Tafsirul Ru'ya li Ibn Sirin. Ibn Sirin is the greatest scholar so far that we have in the world of Islam in the subject of interpretation, in the subject of ta'wil in Islam, ta'wil ru'ya, interpretation of visions in Islam, or you can say dreams. Whenever the Quran is relating on a future matter, whenever the Quran is rehearsing a future event, you need this knowledge to be able to understand that event in the future. In the books of Ibn Sirin, he reported a dream from a Sahaba during the time of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. This Sahaba met Umar and he discussed with Sayyidina Umar. He said, Ya Umar, I saw in my dream that the sun and the moon were coming together, united. And then it reached a particular stage, a particular point. The sun and the moon now split away from each other. They are no more running on the same, they are no more in harmony with each other. This separation of the sun and the moon now led to the stars and all the galaxies separating from each other. That's a catastrophic event. And he himself, he was in that dream, according to this Sahaba. Then Sayyidina Umar asked him, and he turned into a star in that dream. And because the Prophet ﷺ said, my companions are like stars. That is the interpretation. The companions are the stars. So if you follow the companion, you can also become a star. And that is in the spiritual realm. In the Alimul Misal, stars are the believers. So he turned into a star. Sayyidina Umar asked him, which party did you follow among these two? He said he followed the moon. Sayyidina Umar became angry and he chased him away, that you are the people of fitna. So nobody understood this dream. But during the time of Sayyidina Ali, karramallahu ta'ala waj'ahu, and the dispute now occurred between him and Muawiyah. This man that had that dream happens to be in that time, and he followed Muawiyah. So according to this dream, the moon now means the elites, the ruling class, those people who will succeed in securing power but are not knowledgeable in the Islamic world. Muawiyah is a perfect example of such kind of people. Radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he was also a companion, but even companions can be tested in areas. If they don't have knowledge, they will make mistakes. May Allah forgive them all. The same way that Allah forgave the brothers of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, even after mistreating Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, so also Allah will forgive those companions that went against Sayyidina Ali, so long they were companions of the Holy Prophet, but they went against Sayyidina Ali. A scholar of mine, he's late already, may Allah forgive his soul, he explained to me that the fate of those companions of the Prophet that went against Sayyidina Ali karramallahu ta'ala would be like those brothers of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam who went against him, but at the end of the day bowing to him. On the day of judgment, all those companions that went against Sayyidina Ali in his era as the Khalifa, they will come back to seek for his forgiveness. And Allah says in the Quran, وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مِنْ غِلٍّ إِخْوَانًا. On the day of judgment, we shall remove from their hearts all those obstacles, those things that made them to went against each other. On the day of judgment, they shall all become brothers as one, and together they shall enter paradise. Sayyidina Ali himself declared that this verse is what is between him and the Prophet's wife, Nana Aisha, radiallahu ta'ala anha, and Zubayr and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, because they had these grudges among themselves while they were alive. So on the day of judgment, they are going to be reconciled and they shall go to paradise together. May Allah make us among those that will follow them into paradise. So back to this ru'ya. So the moon here represents the class of the elites that secure power in the Islamic world but are not knowledgeable. A time will come, they are all going to fall. And that is why the hadith, the Prophet said, a Muslim king shall die. The hadith of the Mahdi alayhi salam, the Prophet said, a Muslim king shall die. That will signify the fall of the class of the elites that secures power in the Islamic world. Because so long they are around, the Mahdi cannot emerge. So they are just there to close the door. And when Allah decrees that the Mahdi will come, the door shall be open, and all of them around the world, the class of the elites that secures power in the Islamic world, are going to collapse. They will die. When they die, their death will lead to chaos concerning succession. And it is as a result of that chaos that the Prophet ﷺ said, a man shall come. A man will hurry from Medina to Mecca. His name will be my name. That is the name of the Prophet ﷺ. My name is Abu Bakr Siddiq. I am not Muhammad. But the Prophet said his name will be his name. That is Muhammad ﷺ. His father's name